I'm the Sports Wiz 101, and today I'll be giving you my predictions for week number 8 of the NFL season. So I'll be predicting all these games set to take place in week 8. Last week we replicated our week 6 outing where we went 8-6. We'll look to do a little bit better, and I can guarantee you one thing: we will not be replicating that this week, because instead of what's happened the past couple weeks where 4 teams have had a bye, only 2 teams have a bye, one of those being my Kansas City Chiefs, the others being the Los Angeles Chargers. So let's get going. Skipping the London games, skipping all the primetime games, we start with Patriots and Jets. This is an interesting divisional game. The Jets, a pleasant surprise so far this year. In my preview, I didn't expect them to win any games until after their bye week, and here they are, sitting at 5-2. Now, granted, that's been mainly on the back of their defense and on Breece Hall, one of which they won't have this Sunday when they take on New England. And here I think this game's going to come down to coaching, and here I'm going to take Bill Belichick and his coaching over Robert Saleh and his coaching. Titans and Texans set to take place in Houston. I'm going to take the Titans here, mainly because the Texans have an argument for being the worst team in football. All right? If it's not the Panthers, it's probably the Texans that are the worst. And here I just don't know if they're going to score enough against that Titan defense. Now looking onward, the interconference matchups. First, Raiders and Saints set to take place in New Orleans. I think this is going to be a good game. I think it's going to be a fun game. I think this game's going to be decided late in the fourth quarter. And I think the Raiders come out on top. They'll be able to take apart this Saints defense that has recently been crippled with injuries. But I think even a Saints defense, even if it's at full strength, would struggle against the Raiders' passing attack. I think Davante Adams goes off a bit, and I think the Raiders win this game. Steelers, Eagles coming off the bye. I think they have their way with the Steelers offense, and the Eagles will remain undefeated going into week 9. Dolphins, Lions. I was not too impressed by Miami last week. Granted, I wasn't too impressed by Detroit either. And here, I think Miami, their defense will do a good job of shutting down the Detroit attack. A much better job than Detroit's going to do against Miami. So I'll give the Dolphins the win here. Commanders and Colts. I believe this is my upset of the week. I'm going Commanders. I feel like these are 2 teams whose trajectories are going in opposite directions. The Colts being forced to bench their starting quarterback, Matt Ryan, because of his poor performance. They're now going to bring in Sam Ehlinger, the former Longhorn quarterback, to try and right the ship in Indianapolis. Meanwhile, Washington, sure, they already benched Carson Wentz. That was due to more of an injury than anything else. And it may have been a blessing in disguise, because Heineke's there now at quarterback. I think he's got great chemistry with the Commanders' receivers. And I think that will help Washington to an upset win over the Colts. Last I checked, this is an upset because Indy is favored by about 3 points. So I'm going to give this to Washington as my upset of the week. And we'll follow it up with my lock of the week, Cowboys over Bears. Chicago. I think when the Chicago Bears take on a legitimate quarterback in Dak Prescott, their defense will be humbled. Plus, their defense that tends to struggle against the run. Dallas likes to run the ball. So not a good matchup at all for the Bears, especially having to go down to Jerry World to go play this game. I'm taking Dallas in this one. Cardinals and Vikings. Minnesota coming off of a bye. I take the Vikings. I think their offense is more well-rounded. Plus, their defense won't be as crippling to their chances here as the Cardinals will for Arizona's chances. Moving on, a divisional matchup between Carolina and Atlanta. And, for Carolina, this can be a pretty surprising week. I mean, they'll have to hope that I'm wrong about the Tampa Bay game, but if things go right, the Panthers, who have traded away Robbie Anderson, who have traded away Christian McCaffrey, could be sitting in first place in the division at the end of the week. I still think the Panthers are a bit too much of a mess right now to win this game. Give me the Falcons for a home win over the Panthers. And this next game, it's going to be a very interesting affair between the Giants and the Seahawks to take place in Seattle. The Giants are like the Jets. They are a pleasant surprise this year. I didn't expect much out of the Giants, and yet they're 6-1. And, they're playing a team that is also a pleasant surprise. I, like many, did not expect much out of the Seattle Seahawks, and yet they're leading their division at 4-3. And I believe I've said in the past that I expect the Seattle offense to come back to earth soon. But even then, I don't think that come back down to earth is this week. I think that Seattle's home field advantage will do them favors against the Giants, and that's why I'm picking the Seahawks to get the win over New York. Huge game in the NFC West, the 49ers and the Rams. The Rams coming off the bye. I'm going with what I know, and it's that the Rams have struggled on offense. The 49ers, with the exception of last week against my Chiefs, are excellent on defense. So the Rams probably not going to get much going, especially against a coach in Kyle Shanahan who knows how to shut down the McVay offense. I mean, he's done it basically ever since they became the head coaches of their respective squads. So I'm taking the 49ers, despite the Rams coming off that bye, to win in LA. Yeah, give me the 49ers there. So now looking at the other matchups. Broncos-Jaguars. This game sets to take place in London. I like the Jaguars here. The Broncos have just been all out struggling on offense, and they now go to London and play a team that tends to play its best football in London. Give me Jacksonville to get the win over the Broncos. This week's Monday Night Football is the Bengals and the Browns. The Browns, I would say definitely on paper, are a weaker team than the Bengals, but yet they've had the Bengals number as of late, it seems. I mean, even last year, they swept the Bengals before Cincinnati went on and won the AFC. And yet here, I just don't think they have the quarterback to keep up with the Bengals. Give me Cincinnati. Thursday Night Football, I believe I mentioned this earlier. I've got the Buccaneers winning over the Ravens. And it's basically because I think their passing attack will come alive against the Ravens' pass defense, which I believe is one of the worst pass defenses in the league. I think they'll make it hard for the Ravens to get much going in the running game, which is really what Baltimore wants to do. And so I think Tampa Bay comes back and gets right with a victory over the Ravens. Maybe an unpopular pick there, but that's my pick nonetheless. Sunday Night Football, Packers and Bills. Buffalo's coming off a bye. This was a game that, when the schedule came out, I thought was going to be a great game. But from what we've seen of the Packers, and especially their offense to start the season, this doesn't look that appetizing anymore. And here, I'm taking the Bills, and I think they win this in convincing fashion, maybe blowout fashion. I don't think I'll go that far, but I think Buffalo wins this convincingly over a Green Bay team that some may have had as the favorites in the NFC going into the season. So there you go. I've given you my picks for week number 8 of the NFL season. If you like this, please like and subscribe for more to come in the following weeks. I've been the Sports Wiz 101, and I will see you all later.